A big matchup last night. It was Mets and Dodgers last night. 4-3 in the 10th inning. Shohei Ohtani with this home run, getting them back into it. And then in the 10th inning, bottom of the 10th, get the go-ahead run there from Alvarez, take a 3-2 lead. So from there, we go to the bottom of the 10th. We're playing a little managerial check and taking a closer look at Dave Roberts. So we'll start here. Like in the bottom of the 10th inning, first and second, nobody out. Max Muncy is coming up. And I've tried to be fair with this. I'm looking at Muncy against left-handed pitching, not just this year, but last year, the year before, because it can be fluky. They had a left-handed pitcher in Jose Castillo up there. Your thoughts? Should they have pinch hit for Max Muncy right there? First and second, nobody out.
I say yes, but then again, I know Dave Roberts understands his team and where Max Muncy is in his trying to get right. I think it had a lot to do with that as much as anything.
Now we moved along here. Muncy did face a left-hander in Castillo. Then Michael Conforto was going up, a left-hander. Dave Roberts sent in Will Smith pinch hitting. So with a right-hander, then Carlos Mendoza sent out Jose Butto, who went out there. So that's a right-hander versus a right-hander. So the Mets had the platoon advantage both times, Tom.
Yeah, they did. And I get what Doc was doing. I would have Muncy take that at bat. As you mentioned, he's really good in the last week. Castillo's a guy, 294, small sample size against lefties. You know, a 93 sinker slider guy. He doesn't really.
But Smith is on the bench. Mookie Betts might be unavailable, is on the bench. But Kike Hernandez is on. You have right-handers just sitting there. Yeah, I don't get it.
I like the idea of having Smith for Conforto. You're going to hit for Conforto. He's had a really tough year. I'm not sure I want to hit for Max Muncy there. I don't want to send him that signal with nobody out against the lefty like Castillo. You think about it, but I'm going to.
All right, you can back him.
The Dodgers have the leeway to do that, though. You see what I'm saying? The Dodgers are in a situation.
You're losing that game, though. Like, Muncy's is 4 for 45 against left-handers this year. He's hitting .089. And again, I went back year by year because sometimes those things can be fluky. He's essentially hitting 100 with a little bit of power against left-handers. I know he's a great at bat. He's a great player. Maybe he's on the wane at this point. Maybe he's hot. You can take it all into account. But essentially, he's a 100-ish hitter against left-handers.
I think what I'm saying is it comes back to the Dodgers having some leeway, not having to win every game. They're going to win and get in the playoffs.
Just saying, play the long game and let Muncy.
That is what he was doing right here. What he was doing right there. You're exactly right.
Playing the Mets. Come on.
I get it.
Got the Mets.
I'm
got to win
just
that
telling
game.
you.
Not buying it, Jake.
He's trying to.
Where's your competitive nature?
He sends a message. My competitive nature is understanding Max Muncy is and who he is wants that at bat. If you take it from him with him trying to get going and showing signs of him getting going, you kill his confidence. I'm telling you,
he's 34 years old.
It was the right managerial play. And to your credit, it was the right managerial play. The only way it isn't is he managing people and trying to play the long haul of the season. Max Muncy's got to get going. He's showing signs, and that's why that move got made, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think that, look, they're top of the food chain. They've mixed and matched for years. They've gotten used to that. I'm not. All right, but you're both a Dave Roberts. Fine. I say you can side with the manager, and they are.
The game, Lindor homered early for the Mets, put them up 1-0. Brandon Nimmo, a sac fly to put them up 2-0. Then Ohtani homered. Then Ohtani hit a sac fly. It was 2-2 going to extra innings. And the Mets got 2 runs in the top of the 10th inning with a Francisco Alvarez double to score the runner from second base. And then it was Francisco Lindor with an RBI single to score Alvarez. And so you end up a 4-2 lead there. And the Dodgers came back. Now, those 2 runs, by the way, came off of Tanner Scott. It's been a struggle lately for the Dodgers and their bullpen. We know they've got so many injuries out there. But, you look at it there, and here's the base hit off of Scott. Alvarez going the other way. Good piece of hitting by him right there. And then Lindor coming up with the base hit as well. But the bullpen for the Dodgers is in disarray because of all the injuries. They've got so many right-handed relievers on the injured list. But look, they don't have anybody else really to go close right now. Kasperius is, sort of grown into a high leverage situation for them, and Vesia, but they don't have a lot of other options necessarily right now that Dave Roberts wants to go to. So the Mets held on and won this one 4-3 yesterday. And I also was just very surprised that in that 10th inning with Jose Castillo, left-hand pitcher on the mound, he faced the first 2 batters. Remember, you got to face 3 batters in the inning. They had 2 runners on, Freddie Freeman and Pages, and then Max Muncy at the plate, who's hitting like 180 against left-handed pitching. He had Will Smith, Mookie Betts, and Kike Hernandez and Miguel Rojas, right-handed hitters on the bench, he let Muncy hit. And remember, if he had countered with the right-handed hitter, Carlos Mendoza could not change pitchers. So it could have been the lefty-righty matchup. He chose to let Muncy hit, and he struck out. Then he allowed Michael Conforto to go to the batter's box. And then all of a sudden he calls time and he sends Will Smith up to hit. And then the rules allow Carlos Mendoza to, at that point, because Castillo faced 3 batters, make a pitching change. He brought in the Jose Butto, the right-handed pitcher, and had the right matchup. And they got out of the inning in with a win. And I just don't know why Dave Roberts didn't pinch hit for Max Muncy there.
Yeah, it's interesting because, those righties sitting on the bench, obviously Will Smith trying to give him a day, but he's been one of your most productive hitters at 942 OPS. So I'm just thinking Will Smith would have been one of those guys that I would have thought of first too. I like what Blackburn did yesterday, his first start back. Right? Like you're facing the Dodgers, it's going to be tough, but came out and gave them 5 innings. The relief corps was able to do a decent job as well. And we don't give Lindor enough credit, man. We really don't. Led off the game with the home run. I think that's 6 leadoff home runs for him. Like just instant offense early and then late, like doing it late after Francisco Alvarez doubled in the first go-ahead run in the top of the 10th inning. And then Lindor does it. He's so good too when he's up in the count, 2-0 count late in the game. He's always understanding what pitchers are trying to do to him, and he's always balanced. He's going to take his A-hack every single time he's able to drive in another run there. But when I think about the Mets, they're winning. They're in every ball game first, but they're winning these ball games late because of clutch hitting, of course, and then they're staying in them because the relief corps has been just as good as the starting corps.
Yeah. So, by the way, some news and notes from the Mets. Mets are calling up Ronnie Mauricio. Mike Rodriguez reported, Joel Sherman confirming. But Mauricio, remember, a couple years ago, he was the top prospect for the Mets. Then he tore his ACL and missed a year. But now getting the call up to join the Mets organization. So the Mets bringing in some more youth and some energy into that team. And listen, that's a good matchup. The Mets, this is a nice sort of checking in where they are right now. Mets sitting atop the National League East, the Dodgers atop the West. But Ohtani homered in the game, sac fly. Lindor homered in the game, and coming up with a base hit as well to drive in a second run. And so stars stepping up, right? Star power. We saw it over the weekend with Judge and Ohtani, and now Lindor and Ohtani getting it done. Some interesting decisions by the managers in this one, but the Mets bullpen holding on and getting the job done overall. All right. So we talked a lot about the Colorado Rockies here, and the Rockies, have been fighting to get their 10th win. And
last night against the New York Mets at Dodger Stadium, here we go. Francisco Lindor, first inning, Dustin May got him. That is a leadoff home run for Francisco Lindor, and just like that, the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead. 7th inning, Shohei Ohtani is 23rd. Oh, by the way, he sets a franchise record for most home runs through a team's first 60 games in Dodgers history. 23. Unbelievable. Bottom of the ninth, Shohei Ohtani facing Edwin Diaz. The tying run is at third. Diaz v. Ohtani. Did he? He did not, but he does bring in a run. It's a sac fly, tied at 2, third blown save for Edwin Diaz this season. So we go to the 10th. Francisco Lindor, with his team up 3-2, gives them that all-important insurance run. That's down the line. 4-2 New York. Jose Butto gets his first save of the year. The Mets win 4-2. They have won 27 straight games in which Francisco Lindor has homered, dating back to last season. And the Mets take game 1, 4-2. Here's Carlos Mendoza on the hard-fought win.
The fight, resilience, the grit, they're grinding, it's a group that continues to fight, we went through a lot of adversity, and every team's going to go through adversity, and I feel like, we're playing well now, but we got a long ways to go.
We had some bad at-bats tonight. There were some bad strikeouts and some, but you got to give Blackburn credit for, answering the call.
I mean, I love it. It's like a playoff vibe, so it's great. It's great play against those teams.
There is so much to digest about this game, Dero. Paul Blackburn at the top of the list. You know this. If you have an injury, you don't know how you're going to heal. He had a spinal injury, something going on with his blood, a knee injury. He had the flu. I would imagine that's one of the most impactful, starts of his 9-year career. What do you think?
100%, Lauren. First off, you got to tip your hat to David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza. I mean, what David Stearns did with the starting rotation coming into the season, Clay Holmes moving to a starter, David Peterson's taking a massive step forward, Tyler McGill's taking a massive step forward, and for Paul Blackburn to go out there last night, that's what we were focused on, right? Ended up being a fantastic game at the end. I want to get into it. But we have to start with Paul Blackburn and his nasty breaking ball. This thing was on point. So I want to go through it. Trouble with the curve. You know who doesn't have trouble with the curve, but he had trouble with Paul Blackburn's curve? Was Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to take you through the first at bat in the bottom of the first. He eventually gets to a 2-2 count right here, and he wipes him out with a devastating breaking ball. Look at the depth on this thing. So pause that for me. Bring up for me slug leaders versus breaking balls. So take a look at this. Highest slug percentage versus breaking ball since the start of 2024. It's Shohei Ohtani, and there's a sizable gap there. Okay? So for Paul Blackburn to go to that well, knowing this, he knows this, he has to feel uber confident in what he's doing. Can I have the heat maps of what Paul Blackburn does? Especially last night. He was throwing to the left-handed hitters. Now, this is from the catcher's perspective, left-handed hitter in the box. He was going high cutter in and then tunneling and burying that breaking ball. It was fantastic. So I want to get back into it. I want to show him punching out, rushing. The depth and spin rate on number 58's breaking ball cannot be understated. He eventually gets Ohtani again. You see it. That thing is starting at the top of the zone and ending up at the bottom of the zone. Wipeout type stuff. Also, Max Kranick comes into the game a little bit later, tries to just roll one in there. And it gets absolutely destroyed. So the difference in execution, and I know it's an 0-0 count, but to one of the best slug guy off the curveball, you can't roll one in there. Pause this real quick and bring up the spin rate. Take a look at this. Paul Blackburn, bottom of the first, the spin rate on his breaking ball was 2766 RPM, 57.3 inches of vertical drop. Effective. Now, Max Kranick, and again, I know it's an 0-0 count, but you roll one in there to him in the bottom of the 7 at 2400 RPMs with 45.3 vertical drop inches, and it gets absolutely mutilated. So it was just real interesting to see Paul Blackburn.
That's what they talk about, the shape.
Yeah, shaping and just wipeout stuff. I thought he was fantastic last night. And just another addition that David Stearns brought over. Okay, I want to give Gary Cohen some love because late in this game in the 10th inning, I'm sitting there trying to keep my eyes open. I know he's got Mookie Betts with the toe, so he's probably not going to use him. I know he's got Will Smith. I know he's got Kike Hernandez. Gary Cohen nailed this. Lay out, please.
I'm a little shocked that he's taking this at bat.
I am
because
too.
This is Castillo's third batter, so you can't take him out. And Dave Roberts has so many right-handed bats in that dugout.
You got Will Smith. That would be the one. You got Kike, who's a veteran.
And you got Mookie Betts. That's on the outside corner, a sinker that Muncy thought was wide. And now it's 1-2. That's a big call going in the Mets' favor.
Will Smith struggles mightily against left-handed pitchers. Castillo, this is his third batter. He has to face whoever comes to the plate. I was just shocked in that moment Will Smith didn't hit for Muncy or Kike hitting for Muncy in that spot. I know Max had a 1-1 call that didn't go his way. It changed the entire complexion of the inning and the at-bat. But then all of a sudden, Mike Conforto's, he's got his cleats dug in the box. And then Will Smith comes to the dish. So you know Mendoza's going to the bullpen now. He does not have to keep him in. And Buto does a heck of a job just getting soft contact, a fly out here, then a ground ball from Tommy Edman, and the Mets hold on to win just a fantastic game. That was kind of, I don't want to say a dog at the beginning, but there was nothing really happening, and then all of a sudden it got hairy. So I just thought those two things I wanted to point out from the game last night.
Will Smith, 1,300 OPS against left-handed hitters.
Oh, Will Smith has had a monster season.
McGill and Kershaw, that is the pitching matchup tonight at Dodger Stadium in Game 2. All right, let's stay